Thank you everyone for joining today and being interested in what we have to say. um, I'm German, so if I tend to create words, so if you have problems to understand a word, let me know. It might also be the accent coming into play, but I'm very happy in the Q&A session after to verify anything that's maybe got missing. The idea of joining today, we joined a Visit Scotland breakfast event during ITB, and Lynette, Andy, our sales director, and I had a conversation about how we as an industry need to work closer together, and especially with the constant changing climate we are in. And I'm not talking only about environment, but in general, everything that's happening in the world. It becomes even more important that we are working together. Hence, when the idea of the webinar was formed, we very delightedly agreed to join. And I have with me Laura Dixon on the call, who is our contracts director. And she's literally expert in heading the entire team in the UK and Ireland for our partnerships with suppliers like yourselves. So before I start with the details of the agenda today, I just will give you a brief understanding of who we are as Tour Partner Group. And it has been a bit complex over the past years because we have grown significantly. But I will give you a bit of and Lynette did a great pre-work understanding how the distribution channel works. And we are literally sitting in the distribution channels. We are a group of destination management companies. So we have an office in Edinburgh on the beautiful George Street. And we were lucky enough, we integrated Jack Travel, which you might, some of you might know really well. We integrated Jack Travel last year into Tour Partner Group, and we had the luxury of moving into the gorgeous office at George Street. Our headquarters is in London, and I'm based in London as well. Laura's based in the UK as well. We have an office in Dublin, in Copenhagen, and in Mallorca, which sounds a bit odd, but that was an offshore office we have inherited. Our key aim is to have offices located in our destinations because we are claiming to be destination experts. Hence also the relationship with suppliers, partners like you is so crucial and so important because you are experts for the product, for whatever you have to offer, what we can sell and we can offer to our clients. We have FIT product, which means individual travelers. That can be one person going on a trip. It can be a group of people, of a family, for example, going on a trip. We have small groups. We have groups which are going up to 50 people. However, in the past years, it has gone a bit downwards in terms of the big groups are not happening anymore. So it's maybe groups of 35 to 38 people, but even that is almost rare. And we have meetings and incentives, meaning we have, and I mean, some of you might know, we are heavily involved in the Six Nation organization, in the logistics of the French team coming to Edinburgh during that time, which is a huge project for our meetings and incentives team. We work with over 40 markets, so it's quite a big range. And I'm mentioning this because most of the markets we work with have different requirements. So Central Europe is very strong, the German-speaking market, French, Italian, Spanish-speaking markets, but then also Latin America and Asia Pacific. And you can just see by the range that this is, quite a big, diverse portfolio of clients to work with. We only work B2B, so we don't work with the end consumer. We work with tour operators, travel agents, wholesale agents, etc. And we work with them together to develop products which they then sell to the end consumer in market. We have about 500 staff now, so which is, it's kind of from beginning of last year, we were half that size. So we have grown significantly. But our aim is that even though we're growing, that we stay very much niche and bespoke and value the personal relationship we have with our partners. And I think that's, I extracted this from our manifesto or whatever you want to call it. One of the key aims is that we are creating memories that last a lifetime. And I think in our industry, in the commercial world we're in, we often tend to forget what we're actually delivering. I mean, we're maybe not saving lives, but our key aim is that someone is going on a holiday and comes back and remembers for a lifetime this amazing trip they have had. And part of that is also very important that for us, our people we don't see our people only as our employees. We also call our clients and our suppliers our people as well. Because let's face it, without you, we would not be able to deliver a successful itinerary in market. Hence, it's very important that we all work closely together and are seen as one item and basically sing the same song when we go out into markets and try to achieve the same goal. Over the past years, and I mean, a lot of you will be involved already yourselves as well. ESG has become more and more important. And ESG, I mean, what does it stand for? It's environmental, it's social, and it's governance. And it basically encompasses everything we do as a business, whether we treat the environment, how we treat our people. And again, coming back to the previous slide, is that our people are everyone who is involved in making our business successful. And then the governance is how we are structured as a business. I give you a few slides and a bit of information about what we have done on our ESG journey so far, because I think it's very important also working together and making sure that it is not only sustainable growth from a revenue perspective, but it's also sustainable growth in terms of how we treat the environment and how we treat our people we are in. And our vision is to become the leading sustainable DMC for Europe by this year. It's quite ambitious. And also, I would like to highlight on this one that we have now, and I've left it on purpose we have moved away from the word sustainable. And actually, I need to change our vision to being impact conscious, because we are not able to be 100% sustainable. As long as we have business and as long as we are a commercial organization, we will produce carbon. But I think we can be more aware and more training and creating awareness about where we create impact. But also, it's not only related to carbon, it's also related on the communities we work with, on the businesses we work with. Hence, it's very important that we are clear on that as well. When we looked into ESG, or we called it CSR at that point, we considered which framework can we use, what strategy can we use, and what resonated with us quite well is the profit, planet, and people concept. So we looked into each of the different areas and then transferred the 3 Ps, as they're also known, to our initials. So when you see the different categories, you will see that planet has become a globe, which is the G for TP and G. People, I literally couldn't find a better word for people, and I needed a P, so I left people. And then you have the profit, and I think profit sounds too commercial anyway, and we needed a T. So I think transformation is a much better word to use, because it's like the impact we have as an organization and the transformation we can lead in our destinations and for our clients in order to become a more impact conscious business. And under each of those sits targets for us as well. And for transformation, that for us it's very important that we don't only have goals, but also we create impact conscious touring. And I want to highlight on this. I mean, you see on the right hand side a tour which sits on our website as well, which is a Scotland tour. But one of our clients in Germany was part of the decarbonization project with VisitScotland as well. And it has been very successful. So we literally build the tours together with them, which are impact conscious in Scotland. And I think it's very important what that actually means, because in some cases, and I know there's quite a diverse range of suppliers and partners on the call right now. I think it's very important to understand it sometimes sounds like a big mountain, but sometimes even how you do your laundry, which cleaning products you use, can make already quite a big difference. Or if you are a distillery, whether what you're doing with the water, what you have used, whether you are able to clean the water again and use it for something else. I think there's quite a lot of different smaller elements that can be done and that are steps in the right direction, which then leads obviously to bigger impact after. People, and again, I want to re-emphasize, people is not only our employees, it's also our partners we work with. Make people our priority. And we've done a huge amount of change over the past years. And I mean, just one example, we have rolled out last week a new recruitment system called Team Tailor. And what that system does is it supports our D&I strategy, because when we receive a CV nowadays, we can not see anymore any images. We can't see any more genders, etc. So it's all blacked, meaning we're really selecting the right candidate for the job rather than having any other criteria playing a role. But also, recruitment first is one of our key, recruitment internally first is one of our key goals, so that we make sure that our teams internally are promoted first and filled and considered for roles they might be interested, which are happening internally. And then Globe, we have since 3 years, we're measuring our internal carbon emissions. And we have an external agency I work with who helps us with this, because we have, as you have heard, quite a few offices. And yeah, in the offices, it's quite difficult to evaluate our water waste, energy consumption. So we've done that 3 years in a row right now. And since last year, I work with an agency to evaluate our carbon emissions from our tours, which is we as a business, we are static in an office. We have a bit of business travel, but there is not much otherwise in terms of carbon production. But our tours, obviously going in the destination, have become, are the biggest production of carbon emissions what we have. And we've done it 1 year, and I think I'm building now a plan how we can make this successive, potentially even considering an API connection through our booking system, so that at point of booking, we already could see how much carbon potentially a tour would produce. And for us then to work with the destination to see how we can reduce that. This is just, we are private equity backed. I forgot to mention that at the first slide. So for our investors, it's quite important as well that ESG stays on top of the agenda. We're normally not shouting much about it, because I think the frameworks we're using are used to make our business a better place to work and a better place being impact conscious in the jobs we are doing. However, obviously on our website, there's some information about this as well. Since 22 or 21, we are working with a company called Ecology in the UK, and we are offsetting our internal carbon production at the moment. And this is done partly through trees that are funded, but also some other projects they're doing in destinations. I think there's one project in Scotland as well, but then there are worldwide other projects as well. So I'm actually at the moment evaluating whether we find some more local partners to work with on this, because I think key is that we give back to the destination we work with. Equally, we have added a voluntary day for each of our employees to give back to communities, but also protecting the environment we're working in. And our team in Mallorca actually did a really great job in cleaning the beach a couple of weeks ago. And I think it's just very important that we pay attention to these kind of activities. We're using the B Corp framework. And the reason why we're using this framework, we felt it resonated well with our business, and it touches on all areas, and especially the people side is very heavily supported through this. But equally, we selected Travel Life as an accreditation we are actively working towards, and we're aiming to submit this year in September. I had submitted Travel Life the application mid of last year already. However, we have done 2 integrations through 2 acquisitions last year, and also we've moved offices in several locations. So since the headcount had grown and we had a completely different business to what we were beginning of last year, we will have to redo a bit more work and making sure that everything what we've integrated in the group is supported by the Travel Life accreditation as well. And I think one key is using a framework which is recognized, and it's a guideline for us basically. But then also I think it's important for the people we work with, which creates trust, but also helps with the recruitment process as well, because more and more younger generational staff are getting more into it and more interested in it as well. Partnership is one of our core values. Passion, inspiration, and respect are the other 3. And I think the reason why we're here today is because we want to partner with you. We want to partner with the destination, and some of the businesses on the call we might work already with, some of them we might not work with, but in general, we are open for any kind of discussion. We have a very diverse product portfolio. Hence, even if you consider an individual traveler going somewhere, or a group traveling somewhere, or a meeting happening, or meeting or conference happening somewhere, it's a very different style of business lines as well. And just to give you some ideas of how we work with some partners together and how we work as a business. So we have how we sell is we have about 100 trade shows for this year in the diary. I mean, you can imagine it's quite big, but also we are serving 40 source markets, so we need to be present where the markets are. We are attending client events as well and supporting them to sell to the B2C environment or to the end consumer. We send out newsletters. We have a lot of social campaigns going on. And if you're interested, we obviously like to send our stuff in the destination as well to experience and work with the suppliers. We do PR and press, and we produce brochures as well. And these are just a few snippets of how we work. And we obviously have a very strong sales team and business development team in markets as well. And this is how we support the team, basically making sure that our destinations stay on top of mind. Now, what can you do to work with international markets? And on purpose, I have not put this in any specific order because it becomes a bit boring. But I think there are quite a few nuances to consider when you want to work with international markets. And I think what helps a lot is understanding which markets you want to work with. Do you need any support in languages? Some markets don't speak very well English and maybe need some audio guides. It's not all groups these days have a guide with them anymore. We try normally to encourage to have that because they are speaking normally the native language. But I think it's very important also when you cater towards different lunch breaks. A German client potentially would buy a sandwich and sit on a coach and go to the next attraction. A French client potentially would, and I'm very stereotyping right now. It's not every group is like this, but a French client potentially would like a longer lunch and sit down for lunch. An Asian client potentially want a buffet lunch. I think it's just like considering which markets you want to cater for, and then what are the needs for these markets in order that they have a great time when they're on ground. It's also important to consider trade engagement, and I mean that you're on this call shows that you're already interested in that. But there are events like UK Inbound is organizing events, VisitScotland is organizing various different events. But I think and I'm mentioning only two right now, but there's obviously more than that in the market. I think it's very important to engage as well if you want to sell to international market. But then also, do you have images and content you can provide for your attraction, for your hotel, for your whatever it might be, sorry. But also, do you have any specific content you want to communicate? Just have that ready. Videos are the best you can have because they sell the best, but it's not 100% necessary that you need videos to sell. Then also considering group, FIT, MICE. We have a very range. I mean, just coming back to accommodation, we work with B&Bs all over the country. We work with bigger hotel chains all over the country. We have some more boutique hotels. We have some castles we work with as accommodation. So it's really diverse because we have such a different portfolio of client mix as well. But I think it's important to understand as well, how many rooms do you have? Do you have on-site car parking for a coach, for example, or where can a coach park? What opening times do you have? Do you close in the winter? Are you open in the summer? I mean, there's quite a few things to consider, which ideally you would have a little fact sheets together, which for us would help us then to inform our teams to then select for specific tours and for specific requests what we can include. Added value for clients. What I mean with this, we had I'll give an example. We had a little cruise company we work with, and they said for every group you send, we make sure the group gets a small glass of Prosecco on arrival. It's something very small. It's not even very costly. However, still now, when you ask the end consumer what the best thing on the tour was, they speak, oh, it was so nice to be welcomed with a glass of Prosecco. Or some other client said a good night story on their bed. I mean, it's really diverse what you get back, but it's just this little something extra, which sometimes makes a huge difference. It can be even a chocolate on the bed. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't need to be too complex. The other bit is expectations. And I'm saying this because we work with some partners who then said, oh, where are my guests? I mean, we've started working with each other. We have worked 3 months together. Why have I not many bookings from you yet? It's understanding the selling window as well. So the German market at the moment, from ITB onwards, from March onwards, sells for 27. So we get still ad hoc business for 26. But in general, because we work with some clients, like if you take the big ones like Der Tour, TUI, you name it, they produce their own brochures. And if you're not in that brochure, they don't sell you. But then you have smaller coach operator or smaller companies who maybe sell throughout their own little individual fairs, or they have someone coming they know for years. They maybe still sell some content for a bit later. But some of these businesses, smaller businesses, they still the owner drives the coach. So he's maybe 3 coaches full of people, and he needs to plan when he's going. The other bit is we have very loyal clients as well. So some of our markets, they have been doing their tours for years, and to introduce something new takes a bit of time. So they might give you one group of their 15 groups, but not maybe the other 14. And if that group is successful, you might get next year, you maybe get 3. And the year after, potentially 5 groups. And I think it's just very important to understand that it sometimes takes a bit of time to get into the market and to become their preferred partner of choice. I mentioned some of this already, so I don't will run everything, but I think domestic versus international is quite a different selling point, because also I think Lynette mentioned this before. Our groups, our clients normally tend to stay 5 to 7 nights, sometimes a bit shorter, sometimes a bit longer. But also they normally want to travel around. So if you are an accommodation provider, for example, they might not stay for the second night. I mean, we're trying to encourage them to stay longer in one destination, thinking about impact consciousness. However, normally, and especially if you have US groups, for example, the more stems, the more destinations, the more they can pack into one itinerary, the better. So they would even think, okay, from Scotland, I'm going to Ireland. From Ireland, I may be flying to Norway because there's a direct flight right now. And then maybe I consider to fly to Central Europe after this, or come via Paris to London, to Scotland, to Dublin. I think it's just being aware that markets tend to be slightly different, and most of our clients would want to drive around. Scotland has been really popular for our self-driver tours. So from an FIT individual traveler perspective, and they would drive themselves. They love to drive. We build the itinerary for them. They come sometimes with their own car even, and they drive across Scotland. What is amazing though, Scotland in general has a very high demand in all our markets due to the situation at the moment in the world. We're unfortunately expecting a bit of higher cancellation rate this year, but I think it's for everyone. It's cost related due to fuel prices, etc. But even more now, it's important that we are almost like a little dog hanging on our clients' legs, so we're not getting forgotten, that Scotland stays on top of everyone's agenda. I have listed here flexible DMCs, and I know it's not easy sometimes, but we are working with markets where it's like sometimes you have a month. We normally have as a terms and conditions up to a month before departure, they can cancel almost anything without any fees. And that's just, otherwise most of the clients wouldn't even work with us. But we have markets, and especially in a climate like this at the moment, where the group suddenly is, instead of 32 packs, is only 25 packs. So we need to make shorter amendments to an itinerary or to a tour a bit later. And that means the more flexible you can be, the better we will be in order to guarantee you business. Yeah. And then the topic of ESG or impact consciousness, I think, and when we looked at this to start with, I felt really frightened of the entire topic. I just saw the mountain as we as a business, how am I going to do this? And now I feel we're making steps in the right direction. And I think the progress is something which is the most important. So we as a business sending out a yearly ESG survey as well. So if you receive this from us, please reply to the questions, because that just helps us. It's not yet a decision criteria whether we work together. However, it helps us to inform our clients as well what the destination is doing in this subject as well. Please feel free to reach out to us with questions as well. And I mean, our aim is to partner with you, and together with you, making sure that Scotland stays on top of mind of everyone who wants to visit the beautiful country. Thank you.